6 years. It had been 6 long, complicated, painful years since I last saw her. Carla, the woman I once thought I'd spend forever with. Back then, we were inseparable, two people building an empire from the ground up. I had started a tech company that, almost overnight, exploded into a multi-million-dollar powerhouse. She stood by me when all I had was an idea, a dream, and an empty bank account. We shared ramen noodles in a one-bedroom apartment, mapped out our goals on the back of coffee shop napkins, and promised each other that success wouldn't change us. But success did something. Not to me, to her. When the money came, Carla changed. No more movie nights at home. No more spontaneous road trips. She wanted 5-star restaurants, private parties with celebrities, Instagram-perfect moments. I tried to keep up. I bought the mansion, the luxury cars. I dressed the part of the millionaire husband. But inside, I was still just the guy who wanted real love, not a trophy wife chasing attention. And then one day, I came home early. And everything shattered. She was in our bed, with someone else. Not just anyone, my own business partner. The man I had trusted with half my company, and clearly far more. When she saw me, she didn't even look surprised. Just annoyed, like I'd interrupted something trivial. "This isn't what it looks like," she said. But it was. Exactly what it looked like. The divorce was fast. She walked away with a generous settlement, half the house, and all of her pride intact. I didn't contest it. I didn't scream or beg. I disappeared. Sold the house. Moved to a quiet town. Shut down all social media. Started a new company. Started over. I told myself I was done with her, that I'd never look back. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. Because 6 years later, there she was. And next to her was a little boy, no more than 5 years old. And he had my eyes. I stood frozen. It was supposed to be just another business gala, suits, speeches, meaningless handshakes. I hadn't expected to see her there, let alone with a child in tow. But the second I saw him, my entire world shifted. He clung to her hand, shy and silent, with a curious gaze scanning the unfamiliar faces. And then his eyes met mine, wide, brown, and unmistakably mine. That wasn't imagination. That wasn't coincidence. That was blood. My heart thundered as I forced myself to look away. I tried to keep my cool, to stay professional. But my mind was spinning. He was 5. The math didn't lie. We had separated 6 years ago. The timeline added up. Exactly. Why hadn't she told me? Why would she keep my own son from me? I avoided her the rest of the night. I left the gala early, numb and furious. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. The next morning, I had my lawyer quietly pull records. Birth certificate. No father listed. No DNA test. But the child's last name? Her maiden name. No mention of me, anywhere. I was stunned. This woman, who once shared my dreams, who once told me I was her whole world, had erased me completely from the life of a child I didn't even know existed. My son. And suddenly, nothing else mattered. Not the money. Not the betrayal. Not the years that passed. I had a son, and he had no idea who I was. But I wasn't about to crash into his world like a wrecking ball. No. If I was going to be in his life, it would be the right way. And that started with one thing. Confronting Carla, face to face. I waited a few days. Not because I was unsure. But because I needed to cool the fire burning in my chest before it turned into something reckless. When I finally called her, she picked up on the second ring. Her voice hadn't changed. Still smooth. Still calculated. "Well, didn't expect to hear from you," she said casually. I didn't bother with small talk. "Who is he, Carla?" Silence. "I saw him. At the gala. He has my eyes. Don't lie to me." Her voice cracked slightly. He's my son. Ours." I asked. Another pause. Then, barely above a whisper. "Yes." I couldn't breathe. 5 years. She had hidden my child from me for 5 entire years. 5 birthdays I missed. 5 years of first steps, first words, scraped knees, and bedtime stories, all without me. "Why?" I asked, trying not to yell. "Why would you keep him from me?" And then came the justification I didn't ask for. "You left. You didn't fight for us. I didn't think you'd want him. You were in bed with my best friend." "It wasn't about that," she snapped. "It was complicated." "No. It was never complicated. It was betrayal, plain and sharp. You made that choice," I said coldly. "But you had no right to make this one. You stole my son's right to know who his father is." She didn't respond. The silence told me everything I needed to know. She didn't do it to protect him. She did it to hurt me, to erase me. And maybe, just maybe, she had always seen our relationship as a game. But this wasn't a game anymore. There was a child involved. My child. And I was done letting her hold the pieces. I told her I wanted a paternity test. Told her if he was mine, I would be in his life. Not as a visitor, not as a ghost. As a father. She hesitated. Said she needed time. That he didn't know anything about me. Then it's time he learns, I said. And I hung up. The test didn't lie. It took less than a week. A quick swab. A few sleepless nights. And then, confirmation. He was mine. 99.9% certainty. No more doubts. No more what-ifs. No more pretending. When I held the envelope in my hands, I didn't feel triumph. I felt grief. Grief for the years stolen from me. For the milestones I missed. For the tiny voice I never got to hear call me Dad. But I also felt something else rising beneath that pain. Purpose. This wasn't about revenge. This was about a boy who had no idea that his father had been searching for him, even before he knew he existed. I reached out to Carla again. This time, she was different. Worn down, uneasy, defensive. What now, she asked. Now we talk like adults. Like parents. She tried to deflect, said she wasn't sure if it was the right time, that her son didn't even ask about a dad. That hurt, but I held firm. It's not his job to ask. It's our job to tell the truth. Eventually, she agreed to let me meet him in a public park under the condition that she be present. I accepted, and days later, I saw him again. Really saw him. He ran up to the swings in a red hoodie, holding a toy car. No idea who I was. No clue that I had stared at photos of him in disbelief for nights on end. When Carla introduced me, she just said, "This is my friend, Nathan." Friend, not father. I swallowed the lump in my throat and knelt down beside him. "Hey, buddy. I like your car." He smiled. Just a little. But it was enough. Enough to know that something real could start here. Not as strangers. As father and son. Even if the word hadn't been spoken yet. Weeks passed. What began as awkward, supervised meetings in parks and play cafes slowly turned into something more. He started recognizing my face. Started smiling when I showed up. Started calling me Nathan with that bright, innocent voice that made everything inside me ache. He had no idea how long I had waited to hear anything from him. Even my name, from his mouth, felt like a miracle. But I knew it wasn't enough. Because I wasn't just Nathan. I was his father. Carla kept her distance. She watched, arms crossed, eyes guarded. I didn't push her. She had made her choices. Now I was making mine, to show up for him. One afternoon, we were building Legos on the grass behind the playground. I was telling him a story about dinosaurs and space rockets. The kind of ridiculous tale only a child could love. And then, out of nowhere, he looked up, smiled, and said, "Dad, can you build this part for me?" The word hit me like a tidal wave. I didn't move. He didn't even notice what he'd said. It was casual, natural, like the word had always belonged to me. I had to blink fast to stop the tears. "Yeah, buddy," I said, voice shaking. "Of course I can." From a distance, Carla was frozen. I saw it in her face. Shock, maybe regret, but something had shifted in her too. The wall she built between us had cracked. After that day, everything changed. She invited me to more things, his birthday party, his school play, weekend visits. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. He didn't know the full truth yet, but he knew I was his. And I was their. Every step now. Not for her, not for closure, but for the boy who called me Dad when he didn't even know what it meant to me. And in that moment, I didn't feel broken anymore. I felt whole. Time has a strange way of shifting everything. The more I showed up for my son, the more Carla softened. Walls turned into conversation. Bitterness faded into civility. And one day it happened. She invited me to dinner. Just us. No agenda. Or so I thought. We sat across from each other at a quiet Italian place. The kind of place we used to dream about back when we shared a studio apartment and couldn't afford a delivery pizza. She looked different. Softer. A little tired. A little nostalgic. "He loves you," she said. "He's always happier after you visit." I smiled. I couldn't help it. He was the best thing I'd ever been a part of. Then her tone shifted. "I've been thinking," she started. "About us. About maybe trying again." That stopped me cold. Trying again? Like the betrayal hadn't shattered everything? Like the silence, the secrecy, the 5 years without my son were just dust we could sweep away. I looked at her, the woman I once would have done anything for, and realized I didn't feel the same. Not angered, not longing, just distance. Carla, I said gently, you're the mother of my child, and I'll always respect you for that. But I can't go back. I've changed, she said quickly. I made mistakes. I was scared. I didn't know how to fix it. I nodded. And I've changed too. I'm not the man I was when I married you. That man would have begged for another chance. But now, I'm building something better, not just for me. For him. She looked away. She wasn't angry. Just quiet. Maybe, finally understanding. We finished dinner. We hugged goodbye. And that was it. No drama. No second act. Just an ending. Clean, necessary, and real. These days, I pick up my son every other weekend. We watch old cartoons. We build impossible Lego spaceships. He calls me dad like it's the most natural word in the world. And every time he does, I feel one thing. Grateful. Not for the past, but for the chance to rewrite the future. On my terms. For him.